Hello and welcome to the She Reads Romance Books podcast, the ultimate show for romance book lovers looking for the best books worth reading. I'm your host, Leslie Murphy, and in each short episode, I share my favorite book list of recommendations so you know exactly what to add to your must-read list. Join me as I explore the romance genre and have fun collecting book boyfriends along the way, because life is better with a love story. Hello, readers! Do you love military romance books? You know, the romance books with super hot military heroes. Well, this episode continues my series that highlights some of my favorite book boyfriends, and these are the men I cannot get enough of in military romance books. From Army vets to Navy SEALs to Special Forces, let's salute these favorite men who will steal your heart while protecting and serving our nation. I'm sharing my top 5 military heroes who you'll love in and out of uniform. So let's dive into today's episode. Book 1 of my favorite military romance books and favorite military heroes is In the Likely Event by Rebecca Yarros. I became addicted to Rebecca Yarros after reading Fourth Wing, like probably many readers. So when I learned that In the Likely Event, her latest military romance, was part of the Amazon First Reads program, I instantly snatched it up, and I'm so glad I did. If you're not familiar with Amazon First Reads or Prime Reading program, I'll include information about it in the show notes, as you should totally be taking advantage of it. But back to the book. Yarros has written actually several military romance books, and she knows what she's writing about because she is a military wife. Her husband did several tours, I believe, in Iraq and Afghanistan, and she uses the war in Afghanistan as the backdrop to this slow burn, sort of second chance romance between Izzy and Nate. Izzy and Nate are both 18 and first meet on an airplane. He's shipping off to basic training. She's going off to college, but then the plane crashes. So it's definitely one heck of a meet cute. They have this obvious connection on the plane, but after the crash, their lives go in two different directions until they meet again several years later and spend just a few hours together, honestly, but it really solidifies their connection. But again, she's off to law school, he's committed to the military. So it's this romance about a total love connection, but always bad timing, right? Fast forward to the present, which is the bulk of the book, where they run into each other in Afghanistan, of all places, having not seen each other for a long time, for reasons you don't really find out until later in the book. But she is a staffer for a congresswoman, and he is the special ops guy assigned as her bodyguard, essentially, while she's there. So the book uses flashbacks to their run-ins and the development of their love story while using the present and the war in Afghanistan as the moment that forces them to really confront everything about their relationship. I think I honestly read this in one sitting because I was completely captivated. Their connection was so palpable, and I could feel how hard it was not to be together, but realize what choice did they have given their life directions. Nate is this fantastic military hero to fall for. He was funny and kind and super good at his job, which really only increased his sex appeal. He's pretty much as badass as you can get in the military. So yeah, you don't want to miss this hottie and their beautiful slow burn love story, In the Likely Event by Rebecca Yarros. I highly recommend it. Book 2, featuring one of my favorite military heroes, is Hard to Lose by Kay Bromberg. Now, this book, it's kind of a sports romance, so not one about an active military campaign or someone in active duty, if that's something you're looking for, or if it's not, then this would be a really great pick for you. It's about Gunnar, who is a retired military vet, now bartender, who was this baseball star in his younger years, but was also a fighter, would get into trouble. So he ended up joining the military, which gave him the stability that he needed. But now he's approached by Chase Kincaid, a female sports agent who wants to sign him to a deal. But Gunnar has basically put his baseball dream to rest, and he currently focuses on serving military families affected by loss. So, I mean, he's a dreamboat of all dreamboats. I just loved Gunnar. He's a great man, and they're flirting in this book. Was so much fun to read with sparks jumping off the pages. They went on these epic dates. It's just a really great book and a really fun series. So if you need a military vet to fall for, consider Gunnar in Hard to Lose. It's really perfect. Book 3 in my list of military heroes to fall for is After We Fall by Melanie Harlow, one of my favorite romance books because I adore Jack. This is an opposites attract city girl, country boy romance between Jack, the grieving ex-army sergeant, and Margot. Jack is out of the military. He's at home working on his family farm, grieving the loss of his wife when his family hires Margot to do some PR for the farm. Well, Jack wants nothing to do with change and definitely nothing to do with the city girl Margot, and I loved every minute of his broodiness. But when his walls came down, you could truly feel the grief and the guilt and the loss that was consuming this man. And when he finally showed Margot his true nature, oh lordy, did things get steamy in this romance. And the part where Margot stumbles upon his morning swim in the pond, sans bathing suit, girl, you are so lucky. But then again, she really didn't need luck because she gets to see him again in his birthday suit soon after. Add this one to your TBR list if you love military heroes who are carrying a lot of weight on their shoulders. It's a must read in my book. Book 4 on my list is Hot Seal Lover by Lynn Ray Harris, which gives us the hot Navy SEAL Remy Marchand, who is part of the Hostile Operations Team, aka a Black Ops group. This is a one-night stand turned romance where Christina is a woman reeling from finding out that her husband cheated on her with another man. So she's like, I'm going to go out, I'm going to get me some, I'm going to have a bit of fun with a one-night stand. And even though Remy should be forbidden to her since he works with her brother, she just goes for it. Flash forward to where his SEAL team is ordered into a war zone to get Christina out of danger. I mean, I can't even remember why she was in this war zone to begin with, but anywho, Remy is all about protecting her while they fight their attraction, just trying to stay alive in this romance. I would say this is definitely a military romance to grab if you want to read about an active war zone and fall for the military hero that saves the woman. It's hot, it has suspense, and it gave a happy ending to two people who were really struggling. Christina with her marriage ending, but also Remy with guilt he was dealing with over his sister. And if you want even more SEAL military heroes, you can read all of the books in Harris's Hot SEAL Team series. Book 5 on my list of best military romance books featuring my favorite military heroes is Ladies' Men by Elle Kennedy. This book actually used to be called Hotter Than Ever, if that rings a bell to you. That's what it was called when I first read it, and it's part of her Out of Uniform series, which is H-O-T, hot. Oh my gosh. First off, just note, this book is dirty, like good menage sex dirty with man-on-man action too, if that's something that you're interested in and love in your books. It starts as an enemies to lovers book between Dylan and Claire. Dylan is a SEAL who really doesn't like Claire, who happens to be his brother's fiance. But when Claire is left at the altar, Dylan rescues her and brings her back to his apartment that he shares with his best friend and fellow SEAL, Aiden. Basically, in the book, Aiden gets Dylan and Claire to realize their misconceptions of each other, and then they get it on. And then when Dylan and Aiden finally also succumb to their mutual attraction, they get it on and get it on with Claire. Basically, if you want something smutty with not one, but two military heroes, you will enjoy Ladies' Men. Phew, I ended on a hot one. But I love all of these military heroes, and I know that you will too. I'll leave you in today's episode with what I'm reading now, which is Kate Stewart's latest, which is One Last Rainy Day, The Legacy of a Prince, which is the first book in her new Ravenhood Legacy series. And let me just say that if you haven't read her Ravenhood series, you are missing out. It is so, so good, and you won't be the same after reading it. I'm reading this book in anticipation of finally meeting Kate Stewart, one of my favorite authors, at a special event in the North Carolina mountains this fall. I'm so excited. While there, I get to taste her newly unveiled wine partnership with the vineyard we're going to. It's called Rainy Day Red. That will be the perfect wine to sip to when reading this book and the series. I think it's a limited edition, but I'll let you know what I think of it, and hopefully you can order it for yourself too. And I'll try and add a link in the show notes below if I have it. So there you have today's episode. Thanks so much for joining me, and happy reading. That's all for this episode of the She Reads Romance Books podcast. I hope you enjoyed it and found some new books to add to your TBR list. If you did, please subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. It really helps me reach more romance book lovers like you, and I appreciate your support. If you're a book boyfriend collector like me, then you'll want to join my email list so you never miss a podcast episode or a new book list. Just visit shereadsromancebooks.com/join and sign up today. As a thank you, I'll instantly send you my list of top 10 book boyfriends that will make you swoon. Trust me, you don't want to miss this list. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.